All right, everybody, welcome to our information session. It's wonderful to have everyone here today for the Monday School of Business Graduate Program Information Session. My name is David Bernay. I'm Associate Director of Admission at St. Edward's University. And we'll be hearing very shortly from our representatives of each program that you're here to learn about. The MBA Program, Masters of Accounting, Masters of Science in Leadership and Change, am I missing any programs? No, that's all. So we're glad to have you here. Before we get started, we want to talk a little bit about the graduate school, what it means to go to graduate school, and what the value is of graduate school education, and why St. Edward's is particularly a special place to be. Before we hear from the representatives of each programs themselves. This is a slide that really shows you what we already know, right? This is taken from the Department of Labor and Statistics. This is taken from US Census Bureau data that shows that as we go on past our bachelor's degrees, as we get more experience in terms of a terminal degree for an MBA, for example, a master's degree, professional degrees, income increases, right? And employability also increases. So one of the reasons you're here, it's obviously common sense, but what does this mean? Why are you really going to be following and pursuing these degrees? Is it just because of money? We think there's a really strong potential in Austin. And many of you may know that we have recently recalled our MBA program, or many of these programs here. And I'll be introducing Dee Schreiber in a second to talk about what those changes mean. But for us, it really has to do with what does the Austin business community want? And what are they looking for from our graduates? And so part of the process of designing these new curriculums was about engaging stakeholders in the local community and understanding what's best for our graduates when they go out into the workforce. So a couple of points that are kind of unique about St. Edward's. We're designed for the 21st century business environment. Perhaps in contrast, maybe some other programs, we're going to be very focused on hands-on opportunities. So our students will be able to do internships, will work in local companies. Of course, some of these degrees will culminate in a capstone when you're working in a local company or doing projects locally. So that's going to be hands-on, career-focused learning. And at St. Edward's, we're different because we're small. We have really a lot of attention from professors. Many of you have met some of our professors here so far, and these kinds of relationships are very important. So you're going to be in small classes, you're going to know them very well, and they're going to help you along in your path, which also includes many other people at St. Edward's. I'm an admission counselor. Some of you will work with us ongoing through this application process to get your application completed. And that's a really important thing too. You can always call us, reach out to us as admission counselors if you have any questions. And the same is true as for your academic advisor in the business school itself, and understanding what you need to do to complete your programs. And at St. Edward's, we will offer you additional help with your studies as well. If you need any kind of help or resources, we will help you find those. So these programs are designed to work with working adults, of course, flexible hours. We'll be hearing from each program, small class sizes, and we have personalized services on campus to really help you all. A couple points about housekeeping before I continue and throw it on. If you open your folders really quickly, you will notice we have an information card in there. This info card, how many of you actually have applied to a program? Okay, so some of you have already applied. If you have not yet applied for one of our programs, this card is like money to you. It is worth $50. Think of it that way. So if you fill this card out and give it back to us at the end of the information session, you will not have to pay for your application. There'll be a $50 application fee waiver, so that's exciting too. Also, on the way in, if you did not receive any parking vouchers, please see Jay at the end of the session so you can get your parking vouchers taken care of. All right, I'm going to pass it on to Dean Nancy Schreiber from the Monday School of Business. I'll talk about our programs.
Thank you, David.
Of course.
I'm Nancy Schreiber, as David said, and hopefully I've had a chance to meet almost all of you, maybe a couple who just walked in, but welcome. I'm delighted you're here. And I just want to take a minute or two and talk a little bit about our model of business education. And I don't know if you can see it in the back, but what this model shows, I'll walk you through it, is that we provide whatever graduate program you're interested in, this model pertains to it. And what it shows is that we are engaged with this amazing community here in Austin. And we wrap everything we do around 5 core elements of the business ecosystem here in Austin: entrepreneurial thinking, social enterprise, innovation, global collaboration, and business analytics. And our programs, as you'll learn tonight, have threads through all of these pillars. Our faculty do research in these areas. We will be helping usher you through capstone projects that are tied to these 5 pillars. You are sitting right now in one of our community partners, Capital Factory, and there are more to come. Hopefully in the next month or 2, I'll be making an announcement with 2 more relationships, community partners similar to Capital Factory, but that serve a different element reflected here in our model. So everything we do, we are tying to this ecosystem here in Austin. And it's not because we think that you're going to spend your lives in Austin, but it's because we think that 21st century business professionals need these skills. They need to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. They need to understand and value social enterprise and the social good. They need to absolutely understand the process of innovation and creativity. They need to be able to operate in a globally complex environment. And they need to be able to interpret and use analytics and metrics to increase organizations' performance. And regardless of where you go, those are some of the outcomes that we want you to have to take anywhere that you go. So we're excited that you're here. We, as you know, have faculty representation, and our advisor, Natalia Quintanilla, is here as well. So sit back, and we want to make this interactive. I'm going to turn it over to the program directors. There'll be ample time for questions throughout and certainly afterward, and I'll be here as well. So welcome, and I guess we'll just...
We can move on to the next lecture.
There we go.
One thing I didn't mention is that we'll also be able to hear from students later. So if you have some questions, if you want to stay to the end, you'll be able to ask some current students in the programs about their experiences. But now I'm going to toss it to Professor David Altunian, who's Assistant Professor of Entrepreneurship at St. Edward's, to talk about the MBA program.
Thank you. Here you go. Thank you. So how many people are here for the MBA program? Okay. How many of you looked at other MBA programs before? So let me explain one of the differences between an MBA and undergrad, and this very big difference. You know, an undergrad, you learn by reading the text, understanding what frameworks are, and memorizing them and getting through. In a master's program, you're learning about these frameworks, and you're actually applying them in a real business setting. What I like to say is an undergrad prepares you to be able to participate in your business. A master's program prepares you to be able to manage and lead in that business. So you learn the frameworks. So, you know, I'm sure you all know what a PhD is. I'm a PhD as well. If you get your undergrad, what you're doing is you're learning from the textbooks the frameworks about business. You're either learning what a balance sheet is, or if you're in marketing, you learn what a 4P is for product pricing, placement, and promotion. When you're in a master's program, you're learning to apply those in real world scenarios as a manager to be able to manage teams. PhD actually does research to create those frameworks. A lot of these textbooks are written by PhDs. So this is the step where you're actually taking what you learned at your undergrad level and you're learning to apply it in a management context or take it to the next level. In some cases, if you weren't an accounting person forever, like if you're like me and got through math by the easiest business math classes possible, I had to actually learn the foundations of math when I did my master's in stats and still learn how to apply them. That's okay, the master's program will help you get through it. But that's one big difference. When you know that's a difference, one of the things that differentiates a master's program is how much real world experience you get to apply. So if you're learning a framework and you're supposed to implement it, if you don't have a chance to do it in your workplace, it's of minimal value over a business program. You need to actually be able to be in a situation where you can apply it and try this. When I did mine, I told people it was either, because my degree was up in the Northeast and it was very expensive. I said it was either the most expensive degree I bought or the cheapest consulting I ever got, because you really got to apply it all the time. But it really has much more power if you actually get to apply and work on the frameworks while you're trying to do whatever you're doing in your career. Application is very critical. Our program is set up in a way that you will learn theory as well as real world today data and methods at the same time. And you're going to do it while you get access to people in the community. Now, I should have said, I'm a full-time professor here at the university. I'm finishing up my second year as a full-time professor here. I think I am the oldest junior faculty member in the state of Texas, probably. I finished my PhD up last year. I've been an entrepreneur and a tech executive here in town for over 20 years, and I'm one of the partners here at Capital Factory. So I actually, we're in a place where I have a role. It's an example of the kind of faculty where we actually bring our students in. My new venture creation entrepreneurship class actually did their pitches in front of real investors in this classroom. We have students that get seats here in the co-working space, actually across the way there, that get to interface and work on projects with startups. This is an example of real world engagement and one of the things we do. This is a place where one of the things about the Austin ecosystem that's very important is it's a very open environment for students. And some schools are very, very specific about the fact that they want to keep it pretty close to the university. This is a big difference with St. Ed's. We really do try to integrate very well with the community and get our students involved. And actually one of the students you'll hear from today spent last week working at the Austin Technology Council CEO Summit, working with some of the leaders in the entire Austin metro area and gave that kind of exposure. We take that as a very significant value add for students. You will have to learn some really basic things. You will have to learn analytic skills, because in today's marketplace, you can't go by feel alone. You have to learn analytics. You will have to learn stats. But you won't learn stats like you learned in an undergrad where you had to just pass and understand what mean and mode is. You are going to learn how to apply it in a way that is useful for accomplishing something. And an example of this is we just finished Capstone with, Capstone is like the final consulting projects that our grad students did. One of our teams did one for a very major retailer in town, and they used a couple stat programs to go off and analyze the best locations for their new businesses, their new retail stores. That is really applying statistical. They were using SAS, which anybody knows stats. SAS is a pretty tough program to use if you're just learning how to use somebody else's data. But when you're applying data that you understand, the light bulbs go off. And so you'll have that kind of activity. You'll have to understand the analytics. You are going to learn to lead. This is an environment, our master's programs, where you will do teamwork. And in some cases, you will not like your team members. But guess what? When you work in a corporation as a leader, sometimes you work with jerks. Great leaders don't let the jerk know they're a jerk. And they figure out how to get the best out of them. And the system is set up to facilitate that. So these are the kind of things, learning the leading edge skills for the world. The last thing is we are a very connected university globally. Lots of opportunities to do projects overseas. We have relationships with schools, what's the count now, 20-something universities all over the world that you will be able to engage with and get the global experience. We have two big concentrations, digital media and accounting. As David said, this was built from the voices of the Austin business community. When the dean came, she actually took the pillars out and talked to executives, to the Texas Association of Business, to real stakeholders that are hiring students. Because at the end of the day, you want skills that are going to get you hired. That's really what we're pushing for. Our goal is to get you to do internships and get exposure to that business community. So as you're learning these skills, as you're learning the theories, you're also getting the exposure so that you get great jobs. And I think we have a couple students in here, students now or previous students will tell you we take that very seriously, working to get you exposure and to provide opportunities. And then there's some of the learning opportunities we talked about, internships, capstone projects. We do social good as well as things that are around social innovation, social entrepreneurship, giving back. What we like to say is, we try to teach people that want to go into the for-profit world how to add the dimensions of social and economic and environmental good to the idea of getting the best return for investors, your shareholders. And on the nonprofit side, we want to get the focus of getting a good return for stakeholders to whatever the economic and social environmental good is. So we really do pay a lot of attention to those things. And the last thing is that this is a program that is set up to actually enable you to complete it while you are working and applying. And so we have the opportunity to do it in 1 year, 3 Saturdays, a 7-week term. So 6 Saturdays, a full semester is the way it works out. And the rest of it is delivered through our learning management system, which is an online platform. Doesn't mean you're going to be doing online classes. It means that there will be work that is managed online. You will do teamwork online as well as in the classroom, but you will have it when it is convenient to get to school. One of the problems with Austin is our traffic is terrible. And nobody wants to go to school at 6 o'clock at night. I mean, I had students the last semester, once it took them 2 hours to get from Round Rock. So they're Saturdays. And the rest of the time, they're connected through the learning management platform and WebEx. So you will have the opportunity to have real engagement. I am not, I'm just saying my personal, this is gonna be I'm gonna get on my soapbox. I'm not a fan of online only. Dean knows very well, because it's hard to manage if you never connect up and work close face to face. This program is the best of both worlds. You have on-campus time, and you have what's like in a real world. If you're here, if you work for Dell, anybody here work for Dell? If you work for Dell and you're managing here, you're actually working with team members all over the world. You need to know how to do that too. So this platform gives you the ability to do both those things. It really does emulate a real world environment. We talked about the engaged faculty that invest. I think if you talk to students that have been in our business program, we really do care. You know, this is a small, I don't have 70 students in my classroom. Maybe I wouldn't care if I had 70. But you know, I have anywhere from 20 to 30 students, and we get to know them very well, and they get to know us very well. The good news about that is that we take a very personal interest in your success. The bad news is all those tricks you had of not doing homework and being able to say, I just that doesn't go really well. But that's really our approach and how we do this. We really do try to make this a real engaged learning. Let me end with one last thing. Theory tends to have a bad kind of concept. People talk about, theory, it's all theory, it's not real. Well, the reality is that theory is very important to understand because things change all the time. If all you learned how to do was marketing by doing Facebook, you would be out of date today because Twitter is starting to take over from Facebook. And Snapchat's getting ready to go next. So just teaching you the latest skills by itself is of marginal value. But if we can teach you the theoretical frameworks of awareness, consideration, and conversion, which is what we use in marketing, then when a new tool like Snapchat comes up, you know how to apply it, and you stay current on your own. So theory is one of the things we are very serious about because it becomes the underpinning of being a lifelong learner. If you understand theory, as all this new stuff comes out, you can apply it and learn it, and you can be what we want. You can become the kind of leaders that can actually change business for the 21st century. So that's our MBA program. And I'll be over afterwards. Here's some of the courses are there to talk to you about it. But you'll see things, marketing management and digital environment is an example, social responsibility of business. All of these are courses that are very much tuned to business the way we do it today. Okay?
Thank you so much, Professor Altunian. We're going to pass now to Professor Louis Single, who will be talking about Masters of Accounting Program. There you go, of course.
Well, before we started our formal presentation, I had a chance to chat with 2 of the prospective students in the audience here for our Masters of Accounting program. And they're very good examples of the kinds of students that we get. So they kind of fit into 2 categories. And one is someone who came out with an undergraduate degree in accounting, who wants to continue in that field and wants to have the ability to move up in accounting to the highest possible levels of practice. And then one of the students is someone who had a non-accounting degree, but has found herself working primarily in accounting functions, and is kind of at a point where if she doesn't learn more, she can't really advance any further. And she's discovered that lo and behold, she really does like accounting. So when we get those students, we can take care of both of them, because with our accounting degree, it's a 30-hour program, and unlike the MBA program, it's a more traditional, full semester long, 14-week sequence. Our courses are one night a week for 3 hours, and most of our students are working full-time during the day. So they take 6 hours typically in a given semester, and that way they can manage to get their work responsibilities taken care of and also get their schoolwork, and also get access to financial aid if they need it, because you need 6 hours to do that. So that kind of covers all of those bases. So if you have an undergraduate degree in accounting already, you can jump right into the graduate level courses, and if you do 2 courses a semester, you can be done in 6 semesters. If you don't have an accounting degree already, then we will work out a plan for you to satisfy your undergraduate accounting prerequisites, also one night a week in a 3-hour format. So we do have all of our undergraduate upper level accounting courses available in that format. And one of the things that Natalia, our graduate advisor, can do for you is sit down and kind of map out the plan that will work for you. Because sometimes we get students with a business degree who maybe have already had some accounting, but not all of the undergraduate work that they need. They need a different plan from someone who comes in with an English major and has to start from the very beginning. But we can accommodate all of those, and we'll work with you to get your personalized plan set up and help you stick to it from one semester to the next. So really, if you want to move up in your accounting career, having that master's in accounting will also help you pass the CPA exam, which is critical if you want to be in accounting, not only if you want to be in public practice, but also if you want to work in the corporate domain and not-for-profits, in the governmental area. All of those fields value that CPA. And I'm very excited to be able to report that our programs, the students who graduated from our program and took the CPA exam in the last 6 months of this past year, achieved over a 70% CPA exam pass rate. So one of the semesters we actually beat some of the bigger schools out there nearby. We were really excited about that because the national pass rate on that exam is a little less than 50%. So we're not teaching to the test, but we are giving you the skills to enable you to be very successful with the CPA exam, as well as giving you an opportunity to start building your professional network in accounting by meeting other people who are going to be future accountants out there in Austin, and also giving you the opportunity through our small classes and the personal relationships that you'll build with our faculty to get access to great job opportunities. So I have a student this semester who I reached out to because she was really doing well in my class, and I said, you know, what are you thinking about doing when you finish your master's degree? And she said, oh, well, you know, I've been with the government forever. I want to stay with the government. So, you know, I'm good, because I was thinking maybe getting her set up with an internship or something like that. And by the end of the semester, I don't know what happened at work, but she said, you know, I'm kind of open to changing now. I'm not sure I want to stick with this. And so I had an opportunity come in from one of the big 4 firms in town who was looking for a couple more people to get started with them in the fall. And I sent her an email and she applied for the job, and hopefully we'll get it. And so we have contacts like that that just come in to all of our faculty. And because we know our students and we kind of know their skill sets and their interests, we can get them hooked up directly with those opportunities. And we do it over and over, and I kind of have the horrible, wonderful problem of having more job opportunities coming in for our students now than I have students to fill them. So there are lots of opportunities out there. So our curriculum in the graduate program itself is designed to cover all of the subject areas that will be tested on the CPA exam. We even have our own business law class for accountants, because the business law that's tested on the CPA exam is a little different from general business law that you would get in an undergraduate program. We have advanced accounting, advanced tax, which is corporate and business entities. We have an accounting theory and research class, which our students do toward the end of the program. It's kind of summarizes everything and synthesizes everything you've learned, and teaches you how to do professional accounting research using the professional accounting database that people out there in the profession are using day in and day out. In our tax classes, we use a professional tax research database that is the #1 most used software database, and it's free through our library to our students. So those are all things that I tell my students you should put those on your resume, because those are skills that you're not going to have to get from someplace else. We also have some elective courses that are very popular with our students that you would have the opportunity to take, like a fraud and forensic accounting course. And we've actually had 8 students sit for and pass the Certified Fraud Examiner exam, which is a separate credential from the CPA. You don't have to be a CPA to even sit for that exam. If you pass the exam, you have that on your resume as well. And we've had students go on and get fabulous jobs in that field because they had that credential. As far as I know, everyone who has sat for that exam passed it, so I guess we can say we have 100% pass rate on that. As far as I know. The rest of them maybe haven't told me that. But, and then we also have an estate planning class that's kind of an advanced tax elective too, that has been very popular with our students as an elective class. And so you're also working with faculty who have business backgrounds themselves, and both our full-time faculty all have business backgrounds, CPAs, and other professional credentials, as well as our instructors who are practitioners out there in the business community who walk into the classroom and maybe they're teaching a corporate or a business entities class and can say, I had a client walk in today with this very problem, and let me tell you how that went. And so you're getting that real world experience. And also, your fellow students in the classroom are dealing with problems every single day at work. And so they can bring those into the classroom. And so I had a student sit in on a class one time to kind of try out, see if he wanted our program. And he was actually enrolled at another university at the time, but had heard about our program, and he sat in on a couple of our classes and said, I'm switching, and he did, and he's now a successful graduate of ours. But what brought him aboard was the fact that we had real world business discussions, and he had had several years of business experience. And he didn't want to sit in a class with 100 students and just kind of talk about the textbook. So he really liked that about our program, and I think that's something that we bring because we have students like you who have that experience already to share and enrich the classroom. I think I've probably covered all of the topics on that slide, so I'll move on to this. So our degree plan, you can see here that the core courses, so item number 2 there is where you would start if you've already got an undergraduate degree in accounting. And these would be the different classes that you would take as core, and then the advanced courses are your electives, so you take 2 of those. So you can see that's where the fraud and forensic and the special topics is where that estate planning class falls. The other thing is that you can do an internship for credit. So sometimes it's hard if you've already got a full-time job and you're not ready to move out of that, but if you do have the opportunity to do a professional internship, more than 90% of the time that's going to lead to a full-time job offer. And while you're doing that internship, you can also write a few reflection papers and create a portfolio that you then get course credit for at the same time. And so that's one of those elective options that you have, and then you have 6 other credit hours that you can take either from MBA electives or additional accounting electives, whichever you would like to do. And then the prereqs, those are the undergraduate level accounting courses that you need, and it's not just because we say, well, you have to have them before you do our master's, it's because the state board in Texas and every other state in the country says you need these accounting courses in order to sit for the CPA exam. So while nobody really wants to hear that they have additional undergraduate work that they have to do to go on to the graduate, it's a fact of professional life that in accounting you need that to be successful. So we have those available, as I said, and we can work out a plan for each person with how to do that. The program is not a cohort, so you can enter any semester, and we have it built so that you can sequence through it 2 classes at a time, or however you would like to do that. And I'll be happy to talk to you some more individually after we're done with our presentations if you have any additional questions. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So we have a brand new program at St. Edward's we're very excited about called the Masters of Science in Leadership and Change. And for that, I'd like to introduce Professor Tom Seacrest. Pass it to Tom here.
Yeah. All we have to do is learn how to work together.
Exactly.
You know, every organization, regardless of its size or its structure or its sector or its product or service mix, needs leaders who are prepared to successfully navigate the intense change that is all around us in this dynamic context of the 21st century. And to be successful, you need a focused education that allows you to become a complete leader. In the Master of Science in Leadership and Change program, we examine change leadership as a process rather than as a function, as a journey rather than as a destination, and as an opportunity for career enhancement, because we know that's what people are coming back to school for. We examine the cutting edge of conceptual thinking, problem solving, and organizational planning. And we never forget that change leadership is ultimately a human endeavor that requires skills across a spectrum of competencies about how people work together and are motivated, how conflict is resolved, and how people make the kind of decisions that they make to move forward in organizations. Sorry, I didn't do that before. Though we explore change leadership from the individual, the group, the organizational, and the global perspective, the journey of leadership development begins with the self. And this program provides a means for you to further develop or even transform your personal leadership skills through fundamental building blocks, opportunities to practice what you're learning in an applied context, and continuing assessment and feedback. The curriculum of the Master of Science in Leadership and Change program has 4 focal areas. Leaders are clear thinkers. Leaders lead others. Leaders lead themselves. And leaders are authentic. And so what we do in this program is provide an opportunity for you to explore those focal areas through the structure of the classroom and the opportunity to apply what you learn in the classroom in the real world with the partners that we have here in the local area. One of the things that Dr. Altinian said just a little while ago was the difference between undergraduate school and graduate school. And I've often told my students that I think graduate school is a lot easier. Undergraduate school is really about memorization and regurgitation, and it's around a lot of different subject areas. And graduate school is about integration and synthesis, taking what you already know and adding to it what you learn in the structured environment of the classroom and taking your knowledge up to the next level. And you're focused on a much smaller area. And so it really is a lot easier and actually a lot more fun too in a lot of ways to be able to do that. The delivery system we have for the Master of Science in Leadership and Change program is also accelerated, which works really well for people who are working full-time. And so what we have are 7-week-long accelerated courses. If you go to school full-time, you take 2 courses per semester for 5 semesters, and you take the courses one at a time. So during the first 7 weeks of the semester, you take 1 course. During the second 7 weeks of the semester, you take a second course. Because you're only taking 1 course at a time, you can really deeply engage the subject matter and get through it in 7 weeks. It flies by, and there are days that your tongue will be hanging out from the work that you're doing, but it's possible to really deeply engage the material in an accelerated format. And if something happens that life or work gets in the way, you can step out in the middle of a semester or for a whole semester and come back in seamlessly and just continue your work. That's kind of the beauty of looking at these accelerated short sessions that we have. Our classes are held from 6:30 until 10 o'clock at night during the week. This fall and next spring, they're going to be on Wednesdays because we've done the schedules for fall and next spring. So your classes in this program will be held on Wednesday nights from 6:30 until 10 o'clock at night on the main campus on South Congress. Now, we are all abundantly aware that at 6:30 at night, most people have been up for 12 hours already. And so I can assure you that the faculty members are keeping the pace going. They're keeping you awake and engaged in the classroom. And we do this by the way that we approach the material in the classroom, through readings, class discussions, guest speakers, field work, presentations, and written assignments. One of the things that a lot of people express a lot of concern about when they come to graduate school is testing. And in the Master of Science in Leadership and Change program, we don't do it. You know, that's memorization and regurgitation. We're really focusing on integration and synthesis. Oh, you might get a little pop quiz every now and then just to make sure that you're awake. But this is not where you come in and have a midterm and a final, and that's how you do your grade. It's a lot more involved, a lot more seminar style, and something that really takes advantage of the abilities that you bring into the classroom because you're working adults coming back to school. And so it's really exciting for us to be able to do that too. And what's really exciting for the faculty is that we are also actively collaborating because this is a new program. So that we're making sure that all the courses interconnect with each other, and it's keeping us in touch with each other and keeping us excited because this is something new, and we're really excited about the innovative program that we've got starting up this next fall. Here are some of the examples of the courses that we have. Again, Dr. Altunian said, one of the things we need to do is understand theories and models. They're sense-making apparati. You know, that's how we make sense of the world. And so we need to understand the kind of models that undergird these academic areas that we pay attention to. Problem solving, critical inquiry. We want every graduate of every program, undergraduate or graduate school at St. Andrews University, to be a critical and creative thinker. And so you will actually study critical thinking and problem solving, in this particular program. We're all aware of organizational systems. We all know that sometimes in organizations, the hidden thing that's there is culture, and it's very real and very important. And so we study about that. And every single organization today, whether it's a small startup starting here at Capital Factory or a big multinational global corporation, is complex. And so we also look at complexity in organizations. In all of our programs, we talk about corporate social responsibility. We believe that's something important, and so every graduate of St. Edward's University learns the appropriate role of business in the community, looking at all of the stakeholders that are involved in the community. And so we incorporate that into the work that we're doing in the Leadership and Change program too. Principles and Practices of Organizational Change. It's a Leadership and Change program. We look at data too, but a difference between this program and the MBA program is this is a non-quantitative program. And so in the MBA program, you know, the accounting and the finance and the statistics make some people a little bit scared. Data is important, business analytics are important, and leaders use lots of different sources of data to make decisions in organizations. And so we will explore those different kinds of data, but we're not going to do it from a quantitative perspective. We're going to do it from what are the sources of data that leaders use to make decisions in organizations. And so those who are worried a little bit about quantitative stuff don't have to worry about that here. And you can see some of the other ones: conflict analysis, strategy, working in teams. These are all the kinds of things that are happening in organizations nowadays, because that's just the way that, that organizations are. And one of the things you will note here at the very end is what's called travel. So in all of our programs in the graduate school, we make it possible for students who are interested to be able to travel to other countries. And a lot of people think, semester abroad, I'm working, I can't do something like that. No, that's not what I'm talking about. We do short, focused, like 10-day-long trips, where you leave on Saturday and you come back the next Sunday. And you actually work with clients all semester long, and you go in the middle of the semester on a trip and actually meet them face-to-face and work with them. And so students in the Leadership and Change program, if they are interested, may be eligible to attend some of the travel programs that we have. This next year, for example, graduate students this fall are going to Italy, to Milan, Italy. Next spring, they're going to Korea. And next summer, they're going to Spain. And then each year, we kind of have a rotation of Asia, Latin America, Europe. And so you'll be able to think about when it might be appropriate for you and maybe take up the opportunity to travel to another country. But if I got your attention, though, the trip to Italy this fall is full. So if you are interested, come in and start the program this fall and then travel at some other time. We will have some really interesting places to go. We are really excited about this program. We believe that it is comprehensive. We believe that it's cutting edge, and we certainly believe that it's contemporary, and we are really excited about launching it this fall and excited that some of you might be interested in it. And I will certainly be available to answer any questions you might have about it after the end of the presentations today. So thanks much.
All right. So I think we've seen some common themes here after the presentations we just saw. First of all, our presenters, our professors are very accessible to students in the classroom. I think that's very clear. And of course, there's another component of that, and that's the academic advising piece and the network that you're going to create among your peers in the classroom. And that's why we'd like to invite Natalia Quintanilla, as well as some students from the program, Erica and Leslie, who will be coming up to answer some questions and tell you about their experiences as well. So you are welcome to come up now.
Well, go ahead. My name is Leslie Nelson. I'm in my third semester in the MBA program here at St. Edward. I'm also the president of the MBA Student Association. So one thing that we haven't heard today is ways to get involved. I know what the professors talked about was pairing that what you're learning in the classroom, but also learning what is going on in the community and how you can connect the two. And that's also what we're trying to do with the MBA Student Association as well. What else do I need to ask? Or it's a global experience. Yes, so I know Dr. Seacrest was just mentioning about the global experience. Actually, on Sunday, I am traveling to Prague as part of the special topics and business class. So I'm very excited for that. It'll be my, yeah, exactly. It's going to be my first trip actually abroad in general, but it's just a great opportunity to work with some companies over there, but also learn how different businesses and different cultures treat business. So I think it'll be very great. And my ancestors are also from the Czech Republic, so I'm going a few days beforehand to also kind of do the ancestral research and visit the towns where my ancestors grew up, dating back to, I think we have research back to the 1600s, so it'll be an amazing experience, and I'll be sure to let you guys know if you're interested afterwards, you know, what I've learned during that program.
I'm Kristen Kerr, and I am starting my second year in the MBA program this fall. I'm the Vice President of the MBA Student Association. I guess I wanted to highlight, Dr. Altunian brought up how the MBA program kind of combines both community and the program, and I just wanted to say that this isn't my first time at Capital Factory. I've definitely come here through volunteer opportunities that St. Edward's provides. I also was able to do an internship starting last January at Austin Technology Council, which also St. Edward's has a partnership now with Austin Technology Council, so they'll be providing internships through that as well. So I just think that they do a really good job of connecting both the community with the degree program. There are mountains of opportunities, and as Dr. Schreiber was saying, they'll be announcing 2 more partnerships within the local Austin community. I think that's pretty much it.
I'll take it. I'm Talia Quintanilla, and I am the graduate advisor for all the business programs at the Bill Monday School of Business. And I'm here to help and answer any questions that you have about any of the programs that we've talked about today, the 3 that we've talked about, as well as answer questions that you have, I guess, at this time. Can we open it up to Q&A?
Yeah.
So anybody have, yes. Yes, I do. I'm here now.
Are either one of you full-time employed?
Yes, I am. That's one thing I did forget to mention. I work full-time during the day and go to night classes. Also, I work at VMware. It's a technology company here in town. We're headquartered in California, but one thing that I've found extremely important through my studies here so far is kind of learning how to apply it in my day-to-day job. And there have been so many opportunities for me to do so, and I'm not in a management position now in my current role directly, but I manage, or I help work with teams in India and Costa Rica, all around the world, and that those concepts and things like that are really very important to understand and implement in my day-to-day work.
Harvey, what does your daily schedule look like during the school year or the semester? How does that look?
Right. So it definitely gets busy. I'm probably one of the most. Yeah, I do take 2 classes a semester. In the summer, right now I'm taking one on Monday night, and then my global class is on Saturday, so that helps a little bit. But during the fall and spring, they definitely will work with you, and you kind of are able to, you know, schedule your studies around some of the working schedules as well. So like, for instance, if you have to go on a trip somewhere for work, or if you have a big project due at work, you know, you could talk to your professors, and that one-on-one communication and having those small class sizes is very helpful, because they are willing to work with you and they want you to succeed, and anytime, you know, they can help you do that, that definitely is helpful. No, sure.
Can I just add to that? Because I think that was really good feedback.
Of course.
One of the things that was really hard for me to get used to when I went through it is, unlike the undergrad, once you get in, that's the hardest part. We want you to succeed. We actually take that as a personal failure. I would say most professors would say that if you don't do well. Right. So, you know, unlike an undergrad where there's just numbers and, you know, they're not really motivated, you've made the effort to get into the MBA program or whatever the master's program is. It really is, there's a lot of pressure on us, both internally we have it, but also with the university, to do our best to accommodate you, to make sure that you're successful in the program. Not to get you through without doing the work, but to actually help you succeed in the program, and that's a big thing. It kind of shifts once you get accepted from the burden to being shared instead of you just trying to get in. We both have a vested interest in you getting through, and we want you to work. We want you to be able to apply it. So I don't know if that helps at all, but to her point, we actually don't. It's very different than undergrad that way.
Right. And then,
I add one thing about that too, you know, one of the questions you might be asking is how much time does it take to study for your classes and so forth. And it really kind of varies from week to week, depending on what kind of an assignment you have. If you're just reading some chapters in the book, it might not take you as long as if you're preparing for an exam or writing a paper or something like that. But in general, we kind of say 10 to 20 hours a week, you know, is an area that you can look in about how much time it'll take out of class. You certainly need to like organize yourself and be ready and set up a space in your home where it's kind of dedicated to your study and so forth. But it's doable, but it's a responsibility that you have to at the same time.
With that said, I know that most times they say with classes that are held like once a week, there's a lot of information given in that class. So if you miss a class that week, did you miss like 4 or 5 chapters and you're behind tremendously, or how does that work? Being that
I think it depends on the class. It really does. If it's a quantitative course, it depends on, was there an assignment that was due? Was it business law, which I can let you speak to, or there's case studies, and there's just a lot of information to what's the word, digest, I guess, that on a weekly basis. But most of the students, like Leslie was getting at, and Dr. Altooni and Dr. Seacrest, if you're proactive, if you know it's unavoidable, it's unavoidable. There's usually something in the syllabus that speaks to unavoidable emergencies, in this case, ... But when you're proactive and you know that a big project at work, and you need a little bit of flexibility, more so than what is granted in the syllabus or in the week-to-week schedule, just reach out to the professor and see in advance if possible to be able to work with you. And definitely, I've had more students have way more success do that than after the fact or in the 25th hour, something's due, and I forgot this emergency came up. So those types of things, as proactive as you can be.
On that same note, I just want to piggyback on her, because unexpected things come up. So is there kind of like a syllabus or like a Blackboard platform where we can find that information that we missed in case we run into those type of emergencies?
Yes. Each professor posts their syllabus, makes it available typically in advance of each course. The new MBA program, we have the dates, the low residency dates, so the dates you need to be on class on those Saturdays. We have them done for a year for the first 3 semesters in advance. So I've already been sending it out. So for students who need to plan around that accordingly, we've got those dates and I can share that with you. But as far as other classes, MSLC or Master of Accounting, definitely the syllabus is out in advance of the course beginning. 1 to 2 weeks, would you say? So you can plan effectively. The nice thing about some of the classes too, he's already told you in the fall and the spring that it's on Wednesdays. So there are some, as the programs differ and the classes differ, that is something that you can also rely on as you progress through the program, whichever program.
And one thing I was just going to note, or I'm sorry, Dr. Single, do you want to go?
Oh, well, I just wanted to say, and maybe you can verify whether this is true or not, but my observation of our students, I mean, you hear about some MBA programs, it's dog eat dog, and they're all competing with each other and they don't help each other. Totally not like our program at all. So, an additional resource is your fellow students. I mean, when I have students miss an accounting class, a graduate level class, I'll work with them, but I'll also say, you can check with your peers and get notes or information or whatever, and they do. There's a mechanism through Blackboard or through the course learning platform where you can reach out to your peers, but you usually know them anyway, and they help each other. So you're all a team, so that helps too.
Right, I was just going to mention, like, for instance, I'm going to be traveling abroad soon, and I have this other class that I'm going to be missing a couple of in-class assignments and also, online coursework, since this business law is blended. But, day one or before the class started, I told them about what I was doing, and they've formed partnerships as well. And so on our travel trip, we will also have access to Wi-Fi, so I can, submit any assignment I need to, but definitely the faculty and your fellow students are willing to help you and get you through.
And to add on to that, if I have to miss a class, I'll talk to one of my classmates. I'll actually video record it and email it out. So the resources are there. Everyone's there to help. And I had a family emergency for finals week and presentations, and I just spoke with my professors and we worked it out. They're willing to work with you. It's a nice community.
Other questions?
I have a question. One more, you get a prize. Hopefully MLSC, because initially when I wanted to enter the graduate program, I was interested in the MA OD, and they took that away. So are some of the concepts that were in that course going to be a part of the MSLC, or did they take that away to improve it and then renamed it, or what's going on?
We can talk about that a little bit offline if you want to, but the Leadership and Ethics program and the Organization Development program had a lot of similar content, and so we merged those two programs. Okay. But we completely have redone the curriculum, so it's all new. But you will get some of the same concepts that were in the OD program in the new Leadership and Change program. Organization development is about managing change in organizations, so you're going to get it in the Leadership and Change program. We can talk some more about that if you want afterwards.
One question. What are the initiatives that are going to take you? Want to like sit down in a class and audit it to see how the class environment looks like?
At any time.
Sure.
I think we would just facilitate that through the admissions department.
Go contact the admissions office and we can set up a visit day.
Oh, great. Yeah. Any question? Yes.
Okay, on this new program of Master of Science in Leadership, when you designed the program, what was your intent? What is the intent of these double masters?
So the whole intent of this program is to prepare leaders to effectively lead change in organizations.
Okay, so how do you differentiate that, even though you went through the different classes from a regular MBA program?
So, you know, an MBA program is what I call, I'll use my own way of describing it, traditional business education. I call vertical education. So you get marketing and finance and accounting and management classes. And I call what we're doing in leadership education horizontal education. It's learning how to learn about key fundamental concepts in organizations because they're constantly in flux. And so what we try to do is to look at the building blocks of organizations and of leadership and of organizational change and learn how to learn about those by using theories and models and sense-making apparatus so that students who graduate from the program can successfully go out and take on those roles. But you never, regardless of what program you're in, your learning just starts with graduate school. It's lifelong learning because everything is changing all the time. As Dr. Single said, you know, things are changing in the accounting world all the time with, you know, the State Board of Accountancy changing things. In the digital world, it's constant. It's probably changing even faster in the digital world than it is anywhere else. I remember just a little over 10 years ago, I worked in the tech field and I had pagers. Nobody has pagers. So it's just that happens so really fast in all of these.
Well, let me also say on top of your question about the MBA, you know, the idea behind the MBA is you're learning how to manage organizations from a cross-functional standpoint. So we tell people you're not going to do an MBA and become a marketing expert unless you do a concentration in marketing or a concentration in accounting. The goal is to teach you how to manage accounting people. You know, you need to understand the accounting function. You need to understand the marketing function. You need to understand business law. You are learning how to manage an organization. And when we were talking about earlier, she's interested in film. She should take all the concepts from the MBA program and be able to work on a film budget, be able to work on the HR issues, be able to work on the project planning issues, all those things about, you know, a new film, like my new enterprise, my new venture creation class is entrepreneurship. How do I start a new film? Next person in that class could be working for the next Tito's Vodka or have an idea for the next Tito's Vodka. And they want to know what's the accounting part, what's the finance part, what's the marketing part. So it's very much about how to manage cross-functional organizations and those teams, not from being an executive leader, but by understanding enough of those disciplines that you can get in those conversations and manage them with authority. What he's talking about is learning how to be a leader, you know, in that. You may already be a domain expert in marketing or in, you know, in human resources or whatever. This teaches you how to become a domain expert in that leadership specific and change specific. I don't know if that helps at all.
And you won't be able to go through either one without having the opportunity to take advantage of the other. So let me explain. So the MBA program, we have elective options, and so when an MSLC elective comes up that's appropriate to your program, you have the opportunity of taking that. The MSLC program has the opportunity to do one of the global elective courses. So they're sort of, they come together in certain points. So I hope that wasn't the question, was that they're completely apart and we never let them merge, because they do. There's an opportunity to take advantage of each.
So how do I know companies will recognize this type of master programs? From my experience, the students, I'm a foreigner, so friends that came, did an MBA, they went back to my country and they just got a job, no problem. They can really transport that there. In leadership, I could see similarities, but how do companies will recognize this new type of master's degree on my curriculum and give it the same weight as an MBA name is well recognized?
Do you want to try that, Pete?
It's a great question. It's a completely different degree. I will say that there are many jobs you need a master's degree, period. You need a master's degree. Whether it's an MBA or a leadership degree, they say, no, the requirement for this job is you have at least a master's degree. So that's one answer to the question. But the second answer is more what this program is about in leadership. And it is about really a self journey as well. And it is, people take that to not only learn how to lead change and manage change, but to be able to increase their own sort of personal value of how they influence others, how they lead organizations. So I think there's a dimension to the MSLC that isn't just about career. It's really about self-development.
Sorry, I saw that hand first.
No, I just about the when you're the MBA with the focus on accounting, and so you have to take classes from the Masters of Accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you switch between your 7-week and 14-week semesters, or you do? Okay. So you can take your
there is a plan. It's a little bit more rigid because of the low residency model, so we're merging two different programs, but where there's a will, there's a way. So yes, it does exist. So it will be a combination of both Saturday classes and that low residency model with some 14-week evening classes Monday through Thursday that are tossed in there because they have to be because that program operates under a different formatting. Okay. So best of both all worlds.
Okay, so
I'm gonna pay for your parking.
Imagine that. In between the MBA and the MSLC, if I'm already in a position in the department that I desire to be in, and I want to excel to maybe the director or eventually re-strategizing that entire department or rejudging it, how does the MSLC play in that role versus the MBA playing in that role? Because I work in HR and that's my desired field. But if I want to be a director of HR versus strategic planning or something of that nature, how does that work?
I would go there. I mean, the MBA, you're gonna learn, you actually will probably be one of the content experts in those types of courses, because remember, they're learning enough about HR to manage an HR, a company that has an HR department. So you're already the domain expert in there. If you want to stay in there and you want to move up the chain, in an HR department, well, he's going to teach you more of those.
And I'm going to interrupt because you also answered her question. So I would say in the HR discipline, the MS in leadership is probably going to have a lot more traction than an MBA. So I think it depends what your work is, whether that value proposition for your career will matter. So in her field, I would agree with Dr. Altunian. I think the MSLC is a better fit.
Yeah, in academia, and now I'll speak as an executive who's hired lots of people, the debate is a general master's versus a specific master's. A master's of science is a deeper dive into a discipline. So for example, one of the debates we're having in my field, one of my fields is marketing, is is there a master's of science in digital marketing more valuable than an MBA with a marketing? Well, if you're a marketing expert already, an MSLC in digital marketing probably makes more sense because it gives you a deeper dive into content you already know. If you want a career and you want a marketing career, An MBA in marketing is a really, really good way to go because you don't have that content expertise already. So I think if you already know that's the field you want to be in, you're already in that field, then a Master's of Science makes way more sense for that specific area. If you want to be in that field and you want a master's degree, then a concentration or a general MBA probably plays more. So.
Or both.
Good one.
You had another question.
Yes, so I think part of my question was an answer, and it was the fact that if I wanted to travel with this degree somewhere else, that I would be able to apply, and I'm talking about the leadership program. I am currently like in a leadership role, but I wanted to move up to the sales part of it. So it sounds that this degree, this MBA is more suitable for me. So I wanted to have a sales team and make them successful. So it sounds like that one would be, right?
You'd be more in it.
Yeah.
More, yeah, the MBA, more bandwidth for the MBA.
So what about taking this MBA and travel somewhere and show the same, being able to, I guess, transport the same information or apply the same information as an MBA, which is well recognized around the world. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, that's why I was saying, I think her thing about taking the electives and the other things.
You could specifically take, you have electives in the MBA, you could specifically take the electives from the Leadership and Change program that were more tuned into exactly what you were trying to achieve leadership and change-wise in your organization. And that way you get best of both worlds, or you do both degrees.
I would be really careful about thinking you're going to go into sales leadership and not get the quant and analytics that he won't have in his program. You need to understand, and you need to understand how that applies to the P&L and to the balance sheet. And so, all those things tie together, and you're going to get that in the MBA. Very different than what you get in his master's.
Thank you.
And these are all globally accepted degree programs. So if I wanted to transport to Prague, or if I wanted to transport to Spain or something of that nature, I can take my degree and it will be just as good as taking a UT degree.
She can take that accreditation.
Yeah, well, degrees vary, I mean, you're now talking about the brand of different schools versus the degree. The MBA is a universal degree. There's MBAs all over the world, that degree, and the program requirements are different. We are working toward an ACSB accreditation, which is the gold standard of accreditation. And that's a multi-year process, so we are in pursuit of that, which will certainly reflect our brand globally in a strong way. But the degree of an MBA is a universally known degree, and the degree of an MS is a universally known degree. But now you're talking the difference between a brand, UT, same as.
Just a simple answer. We've had several of our alums go overseas, and I can see one of the students' faces, and I can't remember his name, that has done very, very, very well overseas with his MBA in global business. So, I mean, yes, I completely agree, but it's the MBA is a Master of Science and MBA. Taking it overseas will not be a problem, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
And it's also helpful that we have a lot of these global partnerships as well. So, we can build upon that as well, or make those contacts at different universities around the world.
Yeah. I'm out of it.
All right.
That's good. Well, of course, thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. Jane, raise your hand. Hey, this is Jane. So you did not get your parking voucher on the way in. Maybe help you out with that. And as well, if you want to give your info cards to her as well, that'd be great. Thanks so much again for coming. It's been really great to have you here at the Capital Factory. And some of the professors are going to stick around, maybe answer some questions if you have individual questions for them. But thanks again.
And also, if any of you guys, I know sometimes you'll get a question, at midnight tonight or something, going to sleep. That always happens to me. Feel free if you want my card. I'm happy to answer any questions.
She works in one of the top 5 most recently voted companies to work for in the city of Austin.
Yes.
So,
yes.
nudge. Throw that out there.
And just one of my classmates just actually started working at VMware, and several of my classmates and colleagues graduated through the St. Edward's program. So. So good thing.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.